Hi, this is Cherie Burbach. When I wrote my first novel, The Space Between Dreaming, I had to include some of my favorite Milwaukee locations. I was born here and raised here, and I love this town. And I want to show you some of the places that I mentioned, including the place I'm at right now, which is the Milwaukee Art Museum. If you've read my novel, The Space Between Dreaming, you know that it is set in both Milwaukee and Seattle. Today, I want to show you some of the real-life inspiration from places in Milwaukee that appear in the book. First, a little background. I was born in Milwaukee and I spent many of my early years there. I eventually moved to other places in Wisconsin, but Milwaukee has remained home for me in mind and spirit. If you're not familiar with my hometown, you might not know how great it is for art and culture. Milwaukee is one of the few major cities to have permanent residencies of symphony, opera, ballet, and theater. Today, I'm going to tell you about just a couple of my favorite spots in the city which appear in my novel. In my book, the Milwaukee Art Museum is featured for some key scenes in the story. First, it provides inspiration for Jane, one of the main characters. She has always found the museum a safe place and somewhere she goes to dream and think and figure out the world. Jane has been intrigued by art her entire life. When I was a little girl, we went to the art museum several times with our school, and I was taken in by the building and the art and the entire feel of the space. This element where art shapes your viewpoint and outlook is one of the things I included in my book. The character of Jane goes back to the museum often, during her childhood and also as an adult, and she grows up to work in a gallery herself. In real life, the Milwaukee Art Museum went through a major expansion. In 2001, an addition designed by Santiago Calatrava opened and included new gallery spaces, a large grand hall, an auditorium, and a shop and cafe area. Perhaps my favorite feature of the building is the Burke Bricelet, which is a movable sunscreen. Yes, the building actually moves throughout the day. The wings open at noon and close at 10, weather permitting, and at night you can see them light up. In The Space Between Dreaming, Jane has a date with Eric at the art museum, and she gives him a tour of the building and explains how the building's wings actually move. The character of Eric realizes he's never really paid attention to that before and begins to wonder what else he missed in this great city as he went about his life trying to find his path. Can't you relate to that? Sometimes we're so caught up in the things we want for our life that we miss out on something beautiful and rare that might be right in front of us. One of the thrills I had recently was to actually sell the novel, The Space Between Dreaming, at the art museum. It was part of the Art in Bloom event happening there. I got to sell my books, my functional art pieces, and many original paintings. In the book, Jane works at an art gallery in Milwaukee's 3rd Ward. I modeled that fictional gallery after MARN, which is the Milwaukee Artist Resource Network. MARN was founded in 2002 and is currently located in an amazing location in the 3rd Ward. I've had the privilege of selling my art in this location, and one thing I enjoy about this space, besides the great people I've met there, is the cream city brick of the building. This type of brick is a light yellow or cream color and is made from clay found around Milwaukee and the Menominee River Valley. It was one of the most common building materials used in the city in the entire 19th century, and it's how Milwaukee got its nickname, Cream City. Milwaukee is known for festivals of all kinds, especially Summerfest, which is the world's largest music festival. But it also has many different ethnic festivals and art fests. So in my book, I sent Jane and Eric on another date, this time to an art festival that I didn't name, but pictured somewhere in Milwaukee's 3rd Ward or the lakefront area. In the novel, the character of Mrs. Furch meddles in their lives to get them set up on this date. And in the process, Jane gets to meet Grace, the other main character in the book. Grace's husband is an artist and he's exhibiting at this fictional art festival. Now, as an artist myself, I've done many art festivals, so it was fun to include this detail in the book. The character of Mrs. Furch lives in an old house on Milwaukee's east side. She rents out 2 of the spaces in this house to Jane and Eric, and that's how the 2 meet. My own grandparents lived in a very similar house to the one I describe in the book, and I even named Mrs. Furch after my own great-grandmother. Milwaukee has many great dining spots, and one of my favorites is Le Rev in Wauwatosa, which is a suburb of Milwaukee. In the book, Jane and Grace head to a French restaurant one day for lunch, and I pictured Le Rev as I wrote the scene. The restaurant in the book is modeled after a French bistro and has amazing macaroons. Macarons? I never know how to pronounce that word. But the character of Grace brings home a batch of them for her artist husband because she knows how much the colors and design of them will inspire him. As an artist myself, I do this kind of stuff all the time. This is just a taste of what's in the book, so I hope you'll check out The Space Between Dreaming and for sure visit Milwaukee sometime if you've never been there.